And there's others. Basically, anything that is a major type, or most common, the most common currency pairs that I had talked about earlier, any of those that are not paired with the US dollar, those are called crosses. So you've got the euro and the yen. You cross those two together, and yen means JPY. You've got the GBP and the JPY, or the pound yen, or, as you see in the table, the pound guppy. Okay, those are some of the major crosses. And let me not say major so I don't confuse you. In a nutshell, the cross currency pairs are any pair that does not contain a US dollar, but they are very heavily traded currency pair, not from an emerging economy, but one that is already established. Next, you have the exotic currency pairs, which are any currency pair that is paired with an emerging economy. Okay, so an example of that would be like Hong Kong, or the Indian rupee, or the Russian ruble, the Mexican peso. Those are more emerging economies, so those would be considered exotic pairs. Something to keep in mind when you actually start trading, exotic pairs are not as widely traded, so as a result, they're going to cost you more to be able to trade those pairs. The reason why is because, again, they're not widely traded, so it's going to make your broker have to work a lot harder in order to find someone who wants to trade what you have. Now it's time for you to get out your pen and paper and write down all of those currency pairs that you saw me list, because you're going to need to memorize all of those in order to do well. And I'm just kidding, right? That's why I have this slide. It says, relax, calm down. You do not need to memorize all of those pairs. Really, I got some advice for you. Really, I do. Here's my advice column. What I want you guys to do is I want you to pick a few currency pairs. No more than 3 to 5 to study and to start off. You can always add more pairs to your portfolio, but it makes more sense to start with a very few. As you see at the top one, it says treat currency pairs like dating or courting. Okay. And let me just say it more like this. When you start off dating, well, hopefully you're not going to, date 3 to 5 people, but when you start off dating, what I want you guys to, when you start off dating, you usually find the person that you like, hopefully, if you're not a player, and you just follow those people. You go out, you find out about them. What do they like? What they sound like. Eventually you'll be able to pick out their voice in a crowded room. You'll know what they like. You'll know when they're happy, when they're sad, what they like to eat. Okay. You've eventually studied that person enough where you could. It's the same thing with the Forex market. You want to pick a few currency pairs. You don't want to pick too many. That's why players, they don't last very long. If they have too many with the Forex market, you need to pick just a few. When the news comes out, what does this currency do? What happens in the morning, in the evening, in the nighttime? What happens with these currency pairs on a slow day, on a Monday, on a Tuesday? Study those pairs. And when you get comfortable with them, then you can add some new ones to your portfolio, because then you will have you will have mastered those ones. You don't want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. All right. You want to study them until you get very familiar. Something else you can do is keep a trading journal, which I'm going to actually talk about that in future videos, but just keep track of what they do and how they act. And the best thing is to start with the most common pairs, the ones that I had listed earlier. So go back, and if you forgot them, hopefully you were writing stuff down. Start with the most common. Obviously, you don't want to start with the exotic pairs, because I explained to you they're very hard to trade. So you don't want to start there as a beginner. You don't want to start with more aggressive pairs such as gold or the pound and the JPY. Those ones are very aggressive. Stay away from those. That's just advice. Here's a graph of some of the top 8 pairs. I would pick one of these. These are just suggestions. Obviously, you can go with some more aggressive pairs if you like, but for a starter, this is what I would suggest that you pick. Pick from any of these pairs. As you see, these are the top pairs. You can't go wrong with that. The USD JPY, you can't go wrong with anyone who wants to take that trade, because lots of banks are doing business consistently and continuously with those currency pairs. So you're going to see a lot of momentum with those pairs. Also, the spreads, which I'll talk about later, it's going to be, let's basically say it's going to be a lot less expensive for you to be able to take those trades. Okay. Thank you guys for listening. Next understanding of the good. By now, you should have a good understanding of the following questions. Read them quietly to yourself, answer them, and when you are finished, go on to the next video in Forex Foundation 1 series. My name is Adeze Duncan,